Today's video is about the 16th BRICS Summit, which is scheduled for 2 days next week from October the 22nd, which is a Tuesday, until Thursday, October the 24th, in Kazan, Russia. BRICS name stands for the first 5 countries that started it: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. It is a group that is similar to and also is a rival of the G7 group. The BRICS countries felt that the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank were not working in their best interest, so they found it necessary to create an alternative to the current SWIFT system that they're using. The global financial landscape is poised for a serious seismic shift as news emerged that 159 out of 193 countries have signed up to use the new BRICS Bridge monetary settlement system, which is a direct rival to the old SWIFT system. So, you might say, why should I care about it? And truly, most people on the streets in America have no idea what this will do to our economy. You see, in using the SWIFT system, other countries had to purchase dollars to trade with. So if the SWIFT system is no longer used and other countries will trade in their own currency with the BRICS group, then the US dollar, no longer being used, will return back home to the US, flooding the market, creating massive inflation here in the U.S. For many years now, politicians and financial institutes in the U.S. would spend without consequences of having to pay it back. They would just print more money, knowing that other countries using the SWIFT system would pay the debt. When that will no longer happen, it will fall on the taxpayers in the U.S. to cover the U.S. debt, which is something that we just simply can't afford. To express the seriousness of this situation, Donald Trump was asked his opinion on de-dollarization, and he said, and I quote, "If we lose the dollar as the world trade currency, it would be the equivalency of losing a war. That would make us a third world country. We cannot lose our dollar standard," unquote. Let me explain how it works. Since 1945, the dollar has been the world reserve currency. That means if Japan wants to trade with Thailand, they wouldn't pay each other using the yen, they would pay each other using the US dollar. The dollar monopoly is especially strong in the oil trade, which until recently was exclusively conducted in dollars, which means that every country in the world needs a constant supply of dollars on hand to buy oil and other critical goods. And to acquire these dollars, they have to either manufacture goods and sell them to the U.S. or some other country that has acquired dollars from the U.S. But the United States, on the other hand, can print dollars, meaning they can essentially go into debt for free. It only costs a few cents for the Bureau of Engraving and Printing to produce a $100 bill. But other countries would have to pony up $100 of actual goods and services in order to obtain that one $100 bill. The U.S. also has the power to exclude countries from the international financial system by controlling SWIFT, which is the international payment system, which basically functions as the blood vessel of the world's financial system. The U.S. has weaponized the system by banning countries that it doesn't like Cuba or North Korea. The U.S. also takes advantage of the fact that many countries store their foreign reserves in U.S. banks in dollar denominations and assets. The most recent example of this was after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, when the U.S. froze $600 billion in gold reserves in a U.S. bank, making Russia unable to pay its foreign debts. How would a new BRICS currency change this? Well, the U.S. has the power to print money and ultimately exclude or punish other countries because the world relies on the dollar. Now, if enough countries make the collective decision to abandon the dollar and rely on new currencies that the U.S. doesn't control, then the U.S. would not have the power to manipulate the world's financial system like it does right now. Now, with 159 countries signed up to this new system, even the threat of tariffs may not be enough to keep the dollar as the world reserve currency. It would be like closing the barn door after the horses have already gotten out. It would have worked previously, but now that the new system is here and works just fine off of other currencies, it may not be stoppable. De-dollarization worldwide potentially could cause a situation here in the U.S. like we have not seen since the Great Depression, which is definitely something we would need to take to the Lord in prayer about, because people today don't all have the knowledge of how to live off of the land like they did during the last Great Depression. So it would be wise, like it says in the Bible, to return to the old ways, the tried and true ways, the ways of gardening and preserving and homesteading, and we should definitely prepare for financial difficult times ahead. Inflation, as we all know, has been increasing lately in the U.S., and all of us have been seeing the prices rising in the stores, at the gas pumps, no doubt. And we should expect that the same pattern will continue, if not worsen. And if just that is the case, it would be wise to create a small prepper pantry in your home, in an empty room, in a garage, in an empty closet, an attic, whatever you have. What you purchase today will be cheaper than what you will have to purchase in the future because of inflation. So you'll be saving money by purchasing ahead. And if you can't afford to stockpile food, I would suggest the old ways the people got through the Depression, by growing it. During world wars in the U.S., we had something called victory gardens that helped people grow extra food to supplement the rations they got because the war took so much from the availability of supplies. And finally, for our local church people, I plan on starting twice a month making videos on what can be planted in the garden in our area in central Louisiana and how to plant them, either by seed or transplant or rooting. I'm hoping it might help a little with the grocery bill, and I encourage you to teach your children, your grandchildren, niece, nephews, or just kids in the neighborhood how to garden. After all, it is a survival skill.